Alright, saying, let's get together and feel alright.
Oh, didn't see you there. So today we're going to be discussing on how we would cope with our problems in Vietnam, and pretty much the way that we would do that is, you know, we see a lot of death, we see a lot of injuries, we see a lot of suffering, and to cope with that, we just resort to some good brews and, you know, a little bit of drugs here and there. Yeah! Now, as I just demonstrated, alcohol is a type of liquid confidence. You know, me, you know, having a few brews and jumping off there just demonstrates that it's liquid confidence. And around here in Vietnam, when you get put in your platoon, you don't know a lot of people. You don't have your family, your friends. There's not a lot of telecommunications back home. So when you drink some liquid confidence, you and your boys really get to know each other. So one of the main things that was important with, you know, the drugs and the alcohol is that for the boys, we got to know each other on a more personal level because it sort of brought us together. Now, another thing is here in Nam, we spend a lot of time together, and you know, in the Charlie, they want to lay off a little. We got a lot of time on our hands, so what are we going to do to pass the time? Well, we could go into the town and get some prosties, but that's not always an option. So the boys and I, we just like to sit around, have a smoke, crack some jokes, and crack open some beers. So honestly, to take our minds off of everything, to kill the time, drugs and alcohol really helped us here in Vietnam. Actually, I mean, as unfortunate as it is, with the many men that passed, we used, you know, drugs and alcohol as sort of like a scapegoat, you know, as an excuse to make jokes to, you know, brighten the environment. Because, you know, with death and everything, people get really sad and touchy. But when you have, you know, a substance to joke around about, it kind of lightens the mood. So it helped us in that way. Dallas was one of my best brothers, and you know, seeing him go was really hard, but when I look back on it, I'm happy for the man, because in my platoon he rolled the best spliffs, man, and that's how I'm gonna remember him, in a good way. Best spliff roller right here, Dallas. It's gonna be. So at the end of the day, let's weigh the pros and cons of, you know, our little dirties in Vietnam. Alright, so what we got here is a group of men landed in Vietnam, know nothing about each other, miss their families, and have to cope with God knows what. So what do? We turn to drugs and alcohol to take care of our problems. And you know what? For the most part, I'd say it worked. I had a good time for, you know, some of it. They say Vietnam was the best of times and the worst of times, so I think that's fair to put in perspective. But, however, on the way back, you know, when you land in, the territory of freedom, US of A, things change, you know? You can't go out into the poppy fields and just pick up some marijuana, and it don't work like that. So, you know, a lot of our guys who ended up into hard drugs and turned into alcoholics really had a hard time coming back. You know, so now we got, like, centers for them to take care of it and all, and it's kind of a big deal because they need a lot of medical attention and help because a lot of them are addicted and just can't help the fact that they had to overcome difficulties in Vietnam through these substances. So, you know, there, it's cool, but on the way back, you know, we got a little problem. Just ask my boy Nixon.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear.